As the king awoke in his chamber the next day, his first order of business was very important. That business was to execute Andrew, the traitor, for multiple crimes. Politically, he felt he had to make this move. Then he realized that this would also free up both prison space and the guard for other work. It was such an easy decision. All he had to do was fill out the paperwork. As Andrew awoke the next day, he realized that he did not have any weapons for protection. They were probably somewhere inside Rotciv Castle. Going inside would not be a good idea. The silver he had found also gave him another option. He could purchase weapons from a dealer. However, where would he go? Rotciv Castle was now off limits, and his village had been burned down. After the king had finished filling out the execution paperwork, he summoned for one of his servants to come to his chamber. The young woman who came in left an immediate impression on him. The king said,
"Thank you for coming in to help me today. What is your name?"
The woman replied.
Lacey, your majesty.
The king continued,
"Lacey, I need you to deliver this important document to the prison guard on the other side of the castle. It is very urgent business."
Lacey replied.
Yes, your majesty.
Back at the bridge, business was booming for the troll. An hour after receiving 2 more visitors, the troll decided that it would be a good idea for him to head to Rotciv Castle. His idea was to submit a business proposal to the king. In this proposal, he would agree to rebuild the broken bridge in exchange for collection rights. He would also offer the king a piece of the collections in exchange for continued protection in the kingdom. How could the king turn this down? On the other side of the castle, Lacey walked down the steps to the prison. While she did not like the looks of it, she had hoped to leave a favorable impression on the king. One way to do that was to deliver the king's scroll to the prison guard. When the prison guard heard a noise by the steps, he went there to check it out. Standing there was Lacey with the scroll in hand. The guard answered. "May I help you?" Lacey replied.
The king asked me to bring you this scroll. My understanding is that the message is urgent.
She then handed him the scroll. As the guard took the scroll, Lacey left the prison. As she left, the guard said, "Well, I certainly will take a look at it. Thank you." After Lacey left, the guard decided to take a look at the scroll. Back in the woods, Andrew was still trying to figure out what he wanted to do that day. There were no easy decisions here. While standing there, he continued to ponder over all of the possible decisions that were being considered. What would he do? Where would he go? What kind of weapons should he try to purchase? He knew one thing, though, and that was that he could not stay there for long. He figured the guards would start looking for him if they hadn't already done so. After reading the scroll, the guard was shocked at how fast the king had decided to execute the prisoner. His thoughts were that the king must have deemed this matter very important for the safety of the castle, and that he did not want to disappoint him. The guard decided that he would deliver Andrew to the king later that evening. By afternoon, the troll had arrived at Rotciv Castle. While crossing the moat, he told the guard that he had urgent business with the king. The guard told him that it was okay to head up to the king's chamber. While the king was discussing matters with the queen, he heard a knock on the chamber door. The king replied,
"Who is it?"
The troll responded,
"Your Majesty, my name is Terry, and I own a troll bridge. I heard about the terrible news of the other bridge being destroyed a few days ago. After thinking about it for some time, I came up with this business proposal. Take a look, Your Honor."
The troll handed King Evan a scroll, and he began to take a look at it. While wandering in the woods, Andrew managed to find the road that led to the castle. However, he could not go that way. Instead, he decided to head to the troll bridge. This time, he would be able to afford the crossing fees. After reading the business proposal, King Evan responded,
Terry, this is an excellent business proposal. It practically solves all of the problems that Andrew created. I will sign it immediately.
King Evan then signed the scroll and stamped it with an official seal. Then he handed it back to Terry. As Terry took the scroll, he thanked the king for doing business with him. While leaving Rotciv Castle, Terry the Troll thanked the guard for his help. While crossing the moat, he decided to take a look at the signed scroll. After looking at the signed scroll, Terry could not hide his excitement. Now, he had a signed deal with King Evan of Rotciv Castle to rebuild the bridge and collect tolls from it. He could not wait to head over there and get to work on it. By the time Andrew had reached the troll bridge, it was his lucky day. The troll was gone. Maybe the troll had finally got his message from the other day. This meant that Andrew could spend those silver coins on new weapons and armor. Andrew continued walking along the cornfields. He was nervous, and with no weapons or armor, and who could blame him? While safely passing the spot where he thought that he had seen a vampire a few days earlier, Andrew felt a sense of relief. With no map, he was not sure where this road would take him. However, all roads must lead somewhere. Sammy had felt bored in his night guard job. This led him to go to King Evan to find out if he could offer his services elsewhere. As he knocked on the door, King Evan took the time to talk to him. After offering additional services, King Evan paused for a few seconds. And then he graciously thanked him for his offer, but told him that all his positions were currently filled. However, if something should arise in the future, he would consider Sammy for it. By this time, the prison guard had figured that he'd better take Andrew to the king for his execution. He decided to go to his cell and get him out. It was his hope that he would not have to participate in the actual execution part. How would the king accomplish this? Beheading? Hanging? Or some other method? As the prison guard walked over to Andrew's cell, he noticed that no one was there. It was his worst nightmare. How could this happen? He had not left his post for other business, and yet the prisoner had vanished. Had someone found his source of power? This was his second prisoner to disappear in a week under his watch. However, in this situation, it would be hard to put the blame on someone else. Nevertheless, he would have to bring the king the bad news. After a long walk, Terry the Troll finally arrived at the broken bridge. It had more damage than he thought Andrew was capable of inflicting. In this case, he would have to rebuild the whole thing from scratch. Still, Terry felt that this would be worth the investment. King Evan heard a knock on his chamber. He replied,
You can come in.
The prison guard was visibly nervous when he spoke. Your Majesty, Andrew has escaped. The king interrupted.
What? This is the second one in this week. What is going on?
The guard answered. I do not know. The first one we captured talked about seeking a source of power. Maybe they both found it. King Evan paused for a minute before speaking.
Look, this is the second prisoner to disappear in a week. I simply cannot have this happen. I am not sure what I am going to do, but I recommend that you go back and find him, sir.
As the prison guard left to go back to his post, he replied, "Yes, Your Majesty." Now, King Evan had another problem to deal with. What would he do?